welcome back to my channel. My name is Chanty, but no, my name is Chantel, but you can call me Chanty. And you already saw the title, that's probably why you clicked on this video, so let's just get right into it. So first off, here's the palette. I was gonna say palette there. Hi, just cutting in to tell you that I made it through this whole review without saying the palette's name. Cenote. It's the Hipdot Cenote palette. Very similar to the Zion palette, but with blues and greens and a couple of browns. Nice slim packaging, which you guys know I'm a fan of. And I still find this really groovy and cool. Now the inside is quite beautiful. So you can see there's a bunch of blues, some bluey greens, and then there's a couple of warm neutrals to pair with them. Now, this is my first time doing swatches for a video, so bear with me. Full disclosure, I have applied a little bit of primer onto my arm just to pick up the pigment a little bit more. We're gonna start with the Silver Color Rain. That's not very strong. Let's zoom into this, hang on. That's 2 swipes with my finger. Not very strong, but it has a nice shimmer to it. Now we're moving on to Bedrock, which is that lighter orangey color. Am I not picking up enough for these swatches? I don't know. So far, this seems really weak. So I'm gonna do 2 layers for all the colors, just to show you what they look like. This is Ojos, way darker on my skin than it actually is in the palette. Probably because of how pale I am. Now moving on to Escape. Oh, that is beautiful. Now Limestone. Ooh, another gorgeous shimmer. Now we are on to Subsurface. I'm wondering if the primer on my arm was a mistake because it's picking up the colors weirdly. We'll see how it performs on the eye later. But right now, most of the swatches, especially the matte swatches, go on kind of patchy, whereas the shimmers are a bit smoother. We've just done Subsurface. Now we have Cave, which is kind of like an olive shimmer. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, you totally can. There's a little bit of a green gold shift to it. Now we have Goddess, which I must say is the color I've been most excited to try. So I hope it works. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, now we're on to Maya, which is another matte blue. And so, okay, Maya's a bit better. This formula seems a bit better than the other ones have been. Now we're on to Meltwater. This is a lot more blue than Goddess, and definitely not as pigmented. Goddess and Escape are just stunning in comparison to all the other ones. Now we are on to Jungle, another blue. I'm really curious to see how this looks on the skin. Okay, now we are moving on to Ancient. Oh, that's nice. It's like a nice royal blue with a sparkle. It is a little patchier than the other shimmer shadows that we have had so far, but I do love that color. Now we're on to Sacred, which in the pan looks like a matte black. Oh, that's nice. It is a little patchy, but what matte black isn't? If you have a matte black that isn't patchy, hit me up in the comments down below because I am on the hunt. Spirit, just kind of like a teal. Oh, I grabbed way too much. Way too much on that first one, but it's still kind of patchy. You know what? I'm not super mad though, because to be honest, this is probably a color I wouldn't use very often. But finally, we have Tellum, which on the surface looks like a dark sparkly green, but it's more like a black with blue sparkles. Boom. So this is how my swatches turned out. Oh, doy, I can back up. Come on, Chantel. Much better. Look at this. I went on an angle, guys. Like, when I do it like this, when it's facing myself, you can see it's in one straight line. But when I hold my arm normally, like, all over the place. So hopefully those swatches weren't a total disaster. I guess I'll find out when I'm editing. But now we're gonna move on to the eye look. I'm very curious to see how the shadows perform. Okay, so first off, I have already primed my eyes with the Elizabeth Mott Thank Me Later eye primer. So I'm just gonna zoom you in again. Starting off with Bedrock, just using a touch and spreading it across just below. Now I'm just taking a light amount, like little bits at a time. And I'm just blending that into the area below my eyebrow, but above my crease. So now with the same brush, I'm taking a little bit of Ojos And I'm doing the same thing with Ojos by blending it in just below my eyebrow. So far with the two mattes that I've used, I've noticed using them with a brush on my eye as opposed to finger on my wrist, that they're not as highly pigmented, but they're also not as patchy. So that's interesting that it performs a little bit better on the eye. So now with a pencil shaped brush, I'm gonna go in with Tellum and create like a triangle on the corner of my eye. And just sort of fade that towards the center of my eye. I don't know if you guys can see here, but I do have a little bit of fallout from Tellum. Now with the color Goddess, I'm gonna go in again with the pencil shaped brush, starting just at the edge of my eyelid, and I'm gonna work it out to the center, but not quite connect it with Tellum. So one thing I really noticed with Goddess was that it took me a lot to build up. As you can see here, I'm just continuing to apply the eyeshadow, trying to bring out more and more of that color. I will say once I did build it up enough, the colors did really pop on my eye, and I do really love that color. I just wish I didn't have to build up as much. Now, for that area in between Tellum and Goddess, I think I'm gonna put Limestone in there. I'm gonna use a rounded, slightly flat brush to do that. And then the space in between Goddess and Tellum, I'm going to blend those three colors. Now, Limestone behaved a bit better than Goddess did. I found I didn't have to build up as much, but I still had to do some building up in order to get color payoff. Yes, I love how that looks. The shimmers blend together very nicely. I'm just gonna tidy this spot up and apply my foundation and concealer before we move on to the bottom lash. Okay, we are back. Carrying on with the bottom lash line, I'm gonna take a little bit of Jungle and just pop it in the corner here to start. Isn't that interesting that Jungle just doesn't pop as much as Goddess did? Then I'm going to pick up Cave and pop that in the center. And I'm using the same brush that I used to apply Jungle. Same thing with this one. It's not popping as much as Limestone did on the eye. Now, I just want to apply a little bit of Escape in this last inner corner here. Oh, I love that. This pops so nicely. And finally, I'm gonna go in with Rain. I'm gonna pop that right in the inner corner there. So this is the final look. Now I'm just going to pop off camera to do my lashes, a little bit of face and lips, and then I'll be right back to give you my final thoughts on the palette. So here we have it, the final look. Don't mind my chunky lip gloss, that is because my lips are chapped to shit. That's Canadian winter for you. Some final thoughts on this palette. The shimmers apply pretty well, whether you're using your finger or a brush. Now, as you guys saw, I swatched all of them, but the colors that I actually used on my eye were Rain, Bedrock, Ojos, Escape, Limestone, Goddess, Cave, Tellum, and Jungle. Now, mattes didn't work well either on my arm or on my eye. I've definitely used better formula mattes. I did enjoy the shimmer formulas, however, especially Goddess and Escape. They were poppin'. Another thing to note about the shimmers is that they blend together very nicely. Overall, I did like this palette, but I can already tell that there are a few colors in here that I'm probably not going to use that often. Spirit is really sticking out to me just because I do like the formula of these shimmers, and also for most of these I don't have an existing color already exactly like them, except for Tellum. I think I have like 2 ColourPop palettes that have that kind of black with blue shimmers in it. Something I didn't mention at the beginning of the video is that this palette is cruelty free and vegan. So it retails for $30 US, which I think is a little overpriced for what you get, but I got it in my BoxyCharm. So for me, this was well worth the $7 that I contributed towards this specific item in my box. I also feel like you can find most of these other colors. You can dupe them out somehow or just buy the single shadow if you were interested in them. I would probably have found a dupe for Goddess, Cave, and Escape and called it a day. Because if it hadn't have come in my BoxyCharm, I honestly probably never would have reached for that on the shelf. However, now that I have it, I am going to use it and give it a little bit more of a chance before I write it off completely. Especially those mattes. I can't get over those mattes. But then I feel like Goddess and Escape really make up for that. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know down below if you got this in your December BoxyCharm as well, or if this is a palette that you would consider buying. And as always, if you like my video, if you like my vibe, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take it easy.